This is about all voters. It's about all voters. This is not about Democrats or Republicans. This is about Americans. Our democracy is strongest when everyone participates, and it is weaker. It is weaker. Our democracy as a nation is weaker when people are left out.
Vice President back at Howard University today to announce a $25 million push by the Democratic National Committee to counter the rush of restricted voting laws. Consider the state of Texas. Despite Republican claims that election security is a priority, one Democrat calls the latest voting bill, now back before lawmakers, a solution in search of a problem.
The only problem that we have is that the Republican governor is staying true to his allegiance to Trump and playing into this big lie. Texas is merely the next domino that is trying to fall for Republicans. There was no issue with the integrity of our election system. If Republicans are worried about the integrity of something, they ought to look at the integrity of our electrical grid.
With us again tonight, Eugene Robinson, Pulitzer Prize-winning columnist for The Washington Post, and Matthew Dowd, the founder of Country Over Party. In the past, he was a chief strategist for the Bush-Cheney presidential campaign in 2004. Gentlemen, good to see you both. Matthew, I'm going to start with you. You are in Texas. You're watching this. I want to just show our viewers some of the things that are in Texas Bill 3, adding ID requirements for mail voting, banning drive-through early voting, banning overnight early voting, adding criminal penalties to certain election processes, and empowering partisan poll watchers. It does bring to mind, some of these are interesting, but most of them bring to mind the idea of a solution in search of a problem. And boy, in Texas, they are looking for that problem of voter fraud, mass voter fraud. The government officials there are turning over every rock to find it. It's not really there.
No, it's not at all. I think they found 16 instances of a registration with an address wrong on it. They spent $20 million. The attorney general spent $20 million, found 16 instances out of 11 million votes cast in 2020. So it's not a problem. And this fundamentally goes to the issue of the Republicans know the electorate is changing, and it's changing in Texas, the demographics and how it works. And they know this is directly linked to it. They know that the policies they've been passing, whether it's rollback Roe versus Wade, whether it's permitless carry for guns, whether it's all of the other things they're doing, which is highly unpopular in Texas, among Texas voters, they know that they don't want to be held to account by the voters. That's what this is all about. They do not want to held to be account. And for me, that list that Ali, that you read across, the first three are bad, putting impediments in place and making it harder to vote. The last two are what concern me the most, which is basically gets to the point in time where you want to figure out a way to overthrow the job of an election worker and nullify an election. That's what the last two are about.
Right. The first three discourage people from voting. That's bad, but they can be overcome. The last two are about this perpetuation of the big lie or big lies coming forward. Eugene, let's talk about that, because we just heard from Vice President Harris. This is the DNC, the Democratic National Committee, committing $25 million to focus on TV and digital ads, campaigns to help people understand how to register to vote and get information to people who are affected by these restrictive laws. So it's a different approach to the whole thing. It's not fighting it in the courts. It's informing people of their right to vote and the laws that are designed to prevent them from doing so. Enough? Useful? What do you think?
Useful, but not enough. I don't think there can be just one approach, just getting out the vote. Making sure everybody knows how to register and how to comply with onerous and unnecessary new restrictions. That's necessary. That has to be done, and that can be really effective. But these new laws have to be fought in court. The Justice Department needs to be paying attention. It can't just be Mark Elias and others who are filing lawsuits in the public interest. But we still do have most, or what's left, of the Voting Rights Act. We have a civil rights division in the Justice Department, and the Justice Department ought to be fighting this tooth and nail, and Democrats ought to be finding some way, in a hair on fire posture, to pass whatever Congress can pass to nullify or mute or some of the worst of these restrictions, especially the ones that, as Matthew said, have to do with the ability of partisan local officials and state legislators to overthrow an election. That's the true danger to democracy, the biggest danger to democracy. And here it is. It's happening before our eyes.